Ba-dum-bum-bum. Ba-da-ba-da-bum. So, feel a little bit better about what I ate today. See if we can get this computer to cooperate. Anyway, so a little late getting on here tonight, but the food today was a little bit better because I'm close enough to the end that I was hesitating making a lot of hollandaise sauce because I don't like to waste food, and throwing out egg whites that I can't use would be a waste. So making hollandaise, the recipe that I had from when I was younger, when my family used to make it, was you're essentially doing, 8 tablespoons of butter and 3 egg yolks and a tablespoon or 2 of lemon juice. And I don't like throwing out the egg white, and with a diet that's trying to limit my protein intake, I have to be a little bit more careful on my planning of that. But since we're essentially 28 hours away from end of keto, the egg whites will keep long enough for me to be able to do this. So I made some hollandaise sauce today and had it on broccoli, had it on some eggs. And I still have enough left over that I can put it on a few other vegetables or something in the next 24 to 48 hours. I'm probably, I can do pesto. I've been doing some pesto on some stuff. Pesto's easy. That's just olive oil, a few seasonings from the seasoning cabinet, and a little bit of salt. You can put some Parmesan cheese in there if you have it, and maybe some pine nuts if you really want a little extra something. And I haven't done garlic butter yet, which I'm surprised I haven't done that to myself, but I think I'll probably try to do that next 24 hours and put that on some vegetables. So, there are some keto things that make the flavors a little more interesting. The trick is, even hollandaise sauces, to a certain degree, it's not quite the same if you don't have rolls or bread to put it on. That's just the way I remember eating it. So I'm not quite used to it just having it on an egg or something, having it on the broccoli stems that I had it on earlier. It tastes all right, but I'm used to having that roll I can dip in and clean up the dish with, and just, the best option I got at this point is my finger, clean it out of the bowl. But it's not the same. It's all right. It adds some flavor to some of the food, puts some fat on the menu. But those are 3 things that can make a world of difference for adding fat to the diet when you're trying to reach a certain threshold of fat intake in a day. Is pesto is just olive oil to a certain degree, and hollandaise sauce is just butter for a large portion of it, and then garlic butter as chives, garlic, and butter. And what do you serve them over is the big question. Eggs for the hollandaise. You can put them on some broccoli or asparagus or those types of things. Pesto, that's a little more tricky. You could do that on some maybe green beans. I don't know. I'm trying to think of vegetables that are low carb vegetables. Beans are usually one of those things you want to sidestep, but it's not a huge deal. And then garlic butter, that's the hard one for me. What do you put garlic butter on? Maybe Brussels sprouts. I don't know. Garlic butter is one of those things you sort of, the thing we think most often of it being, and pesto too, to a certain degree, but the thing we most think of them being on are bread or pasta. Like, what do you put that on? Like, it feels it feels wrong to put garlic butter on something like eggs, or you don't put it on meat. You don't you don't mix it with tuna. You don't mix it with peanut butter. Um, like, very, very, very strict keto eating. Like, maybe you put it on some vegetables. Pesto's a little bit easier because you toss it with pretty much any vegetable and it's all right. You can even put a little pesto in a scrambled egg and it's all right. But yeah, I don't know. Just finding things to put them on. I'm looking forward to just not having to worry about it anymore. Just eat how I want to eat. And for the most part, that's probably still going to be lower carbish kind of eating. But yeah, that's sort of my experiments with food today. Although I did have this sort of crazy idea earlier today. It's like, I know it's crazy. I know it's a stupid idea. I still kind of want to try it at some point. I might, well, no. I don't know that I want to do it tomorrow, but maybe. Perhaps. Actually, I don't think I have everything I need to do it. I was gonna make eggs Benedict is essentially a poached egg with hollandaise sauce, a slice of ham or Canadian bacon, whatever you want to call it, and then you put that on an English muffin, and you've got eggs Benedict. I had this weird idea, like, that's not too far removed. Like, an egg salad is just a hard-boiled egg, not a poached egg, with a mayonnaise, which is essentially just eggs and oil, which, hollandaise is essentially egg yolk and, well, mayonnaise is egg yolk and olive oil or canola oil, and hollandaise is egg yolk with butter. And the biggest difference between the two of them is you can add a pinch of mustard and maybe a little bit of other seasoning to mayonnaise to give it a little something, an extra flavor and extra zip to it. But hollandaise is lemon, and it makes all the difference between the two. But other than that, making a egg salad with a hard-boiled egg, and instead of using mayonnaise, using hollandaise sauce, and then dicing up or slicing up pieces of ham and mixing that in there with that and serving it between two pieces of bread. It's like an eggs Benedict sandwich. I kind of want to do it. I'm not going to lie. I kind of want to do it. I bet you it would be good. I bet that would be like, you toast it on maybe on a toasted bun. I don't know. I'm kind of curious about trying it at some point. Really? Your connection is unstable. Thanks. That's super useful. Thanks for crashing my computer again, internet. All right. Well, we got to figure that out. Anymore. All right, fine. I'm going to have to see if I can switch computers in the next day or two, because this is just not going to keep working like this anymore. I can't keep doing this. And I think it's this laptop specifically right now. Whenever it's got a workload on it that it kicks on the fan, I think that's when it's doing it. I'm not sure. But we'll have to give it a try and switch over to a different computer on some other night. But anyway, I'm trying to figure out the best way to do like a weighted throwing thing for my exercises. Yeah. No, it's not a new laptop. It's the old one that I was using on the tabletop out in the other room for a long time. The new laptop is over here. The new laptop, I did some stuff on it where it did that as well, so I don't know. But I do know distinctly when I hear the fan winding up on this laptop, the one with the broken screen, when I hear the fan winding up for this one, that's when I'm most likely to get the unstable connection sign. So I think it's just this laptop is so targeted towards getting specific, energy efficiency from it, that the fan gobbles energy, and it has to divert it from processor and internet Wi-Fi. So that might be part of it. Doesn't explain why the other laptop does it too, but I don't know. We'll figure it out. Eventually, we'll figure it out. Might be a while before I get to figure out an alternative that'll work better, because I haven't heard back from the places that I was going to end up working for, and I don't know what that's about. So I may not have those part-time jobs I was looking forward to being able to get some extra money in from. So I'm going to have to spend the next couple weeks continuing to scramble to see if I can pick up some seasonal work. It's getting later in the season, so it's getting harder to do that. It'll be what it'll be, I guess. I'll figure something out. But trying to do the exercise routine stuff, trying to figure out something I can do that's weighted that I can throw, and not like a handheld object kind of weight. Looking more towards a basketball-sized object that I can heft and throw, and have it be of a consistent or set weight that I can use. I could see if I could find I don't want to say a beach ball, but a sufficiently sturdy enough ball that I could fill with sand. I don't know if that's a thing you can do. I mean, heck, I could probably fill some Ziploc bags full of sand and then wrap them in cling wrap and duct tape and make a giant bean bag that I can pitch around and get a sense of building a weight that I can pitch at a certain distance and then try to increase my capabilities over a course of time of about 4 or 5 weeks. That's sort of the goal for the end result, is to have a throwable object, because from what I can see, sprinting, throwing, and jumping exercises are the ones that are going to do the most for fast twitch muscle exercises. So development and training on those. I don't know that I'm necessarily going to increase the amount of fast twitch muscle that I have in my body, because I don't think that happens. It sounds like you pretty much have a ratio that's ideal for your body weight, and you can probably adjust the performance of each group a little bit, but my indications from my genetic testing suggest I should have a preference for higher levels than average of fast twitch muscle, which is what you need for explosive muscle, explosive activation. So I need to look into that, exercises that'll benefit that. And it's, like I said, it's more about the training of those muscles and the not increasing the amount or volume of them, but increasing their ability to handle the load. Because let's just be honest, I mean, like the other exercise routines that I've been working on, it's definitely a factor of going from couch potato to fit in a short period of time. So, like, starting from a point of, say, a couch potato, you could have all the muscles in the world, but if you're not using them, they're not going to be all that great. So that's what I'm trying to change it over to usable, functional, increased ability muscle, not bigger muscle, not flashier muscle, not better defined muscle, not weight loss. So I feel like doing the sprinting, short sprints, the jumping exercises, both long, high, and wide are the things I need to work on for the majority of the lower body. And then for the upper body, the throwing exercises is what I needed to figure out. I mean, they have like the plyo push-ups that you can do, which is just a push-up that you do it fast enough to leave the ground at the end of your push. And it seems sort of like a less ideal way to do that, whereas throwing is a functional exercise. And that's sort of more important to me. Not like how many push-ups a person can do is of limited usefulness. Like, yeah, but how often are you doing push-ups in an important manner that achieves an active function in your life? They're a thing to do to exercise muscles. They don't have a performance equivalent. Whereas lifting, throwing, and otherwise doing those types of things, those have an equivalent in the real world. Lifting boxes, throwing objects, chopping wood, those are kinds of things that may have some of those exercises, the benefits of those exercises. I'm not going to be chopping wood. I'm not going to be using a sledgehammer on anything in the near future. So throwing things is probably the best. I will be doing weightlifting at another point where it's going to be less jerk motion. So those are going to be a little bit, that's more of the lifting area. So I'm kind of interested to see what I succeed in doing with the jumping, just because I think that's the one with the biggest marker of success and achievement as you go. Like you can decidedly see how much better you're getting at distance you're going. You can kind of see with things thrown, but that's sort of one of those markers that like nobody's taken into account how far they can throw a watermelon. You know, nobody like, oh yeah, I can throw a watermelon 15 feet. Like you don't know what your distance on a watermelon throw is. I don't know what mine is. It's not a marker that I have like a scale to appreciate. It's one, and maybe that's one of the things that'll be a benefit of doing it as part of this experiment, is getting a sense of like, what's my baseline ability to throw, and how much better than that do I get? But it's sort of like if you ever do any orienteering or map stuff, you know, you don't go out in a boat and only use one reference point on the shore to figure where you are and how to get where you need to go. You need two, so you can form a triangle. You know exactly where you are when you have point 1 and point 2. If you're closer to point 2 than you are to point 1, and you move and you're closer to 1 than you are to 2, it's easier to understand. But if you just have one point, you have a radius that you can move along that it makes it impossible for you to know where you are on that arc. And I feel the same way about like the throwing exercises, is like I might have a sense of where I started from, and I might have a sense of where I end up, but I won't necessarily have a sense of what that means, because I've only got the one frame of reference. So I've got this whole arc of things that I could be on that line and just not know where I am really in relation to anything else. Whereas jumping, that's something we have a measure of. I'll have a measure of what I can do personally. And I'll have a general sense of what, average track and field individuals can do. Track and field, or just general people. Can you jump 4 feet in the air? Most people can't. Can you jump a distance of 3.5 feet to, that's probably where most people land, is 3.5 feet forward, an individual stride. And you might be able to squeeze out 4 to 4.5 feet, but I don't imagine most people get further than 4 feet. So, and the thing I want to try to do when I do this is there's a lot of things, like if you look at professional athletes who do the jumping and even the throwing exercises or the sprinting and stuff like that, the thing you'll see is they're like these little like tricks they use to squeeze out that extra distance that they're trying to achieve. But it always feels like a cheat to me. Like a good example is if you were trying to jump high, there are people out there like, yeah, I increased my jump height by such and such. Well, here's the question I have for those people. When you start on the ground, start from your center mass and you jump, how far has your center mass moved? Because you see a lot of these people do these jump routines, and what they're improving is how close to their body they can pull their feet up at the top of the jump. Your body center is not moving much higher over a course of time, but you're able to get your feet further off the ground. So you're tricking yourself into thinking you're getting 5 extra inches, but 4 of those inches is just being able to move your feet higher up at the top of your jump. Like, I don't do that. I want to actively see how much further in distance the center of my mass is being projected by the force of my muscles. That's what I want to focus on. And so, like, a lot of the techniques you see for professional jumpers and athletes out there are about squeaking out those extra inches. And it's like, I'm not going to do those weirdly, you're leaning like this when you're running, and then your feet get to the line, and then you jump, then you flip your body so that your feet extend further out to the tip of your toes, and you're coming into the ground like this. So your feet are probably, 3 feet, 4 feet further out than your center of your mass is. You're not actually getting those 3 feet in jump distance. You're getting those 3 feet and how far you're stretching your toes by the time you land. I want to measure how much improvement I have in the force of my muscle projecting me. And so, yeah, for the sprints, you don't get as much of that. You literally have to get a certain distance in a certain amount of time. That's the goal. You're not doing the reaching your finger out to get the most distance on your run. It's just the high jump and the long jump is the one where you see some of that weirdness going on. The throwing, since I'm kind of making it up as I go anyway, just trying different throws. I'm not sure what the ones I'm going to probably favor are going to be. I imagine I need to do the forward, the side, and the vertical throw as well. And so I would have to measure, like I can measure how far forward I can get my weight to go. I can do vertical to see how high I can get it to go. And to a certain degree, the jumping has a similar issue. It's the same 3 sets. It's forward, up, and side to side. The issue I have with that is there isn't really an exercise to measure side jumping or side throwing. And it's just going to have to be like, put a scale on the ground and see how far out I go. So, I mean, as I'm making these sort of things up, they may be weird results. They may be impractical, and other people watching me would do what I'm doing may end up with a serious question of like, I don't know what that means because I've never had anybody tell me how far sideways they can jump. It's never a question that came up. So the results may be weird. They may be meaningless for the most part, but I think that's where I'm going to focus on. And we're 25 minutes in, and I'm having computer trouble. I don't have a lot more to talk about tonight. Tomorrow's the last keto. I think I'm just going to leave what I got left to discuss then. and move on from there. I can't think of anything else I needed to talk about. I guess that's that. All right. So I guess I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for joining me. Hopefully, we can get something figured out with this internet connection by tomorrow. Until then, take care and have a good night. Hey, good night. See if I can get it's behaving a little bit better now. All right. Well, stay safe. Don't go outside with any golf clubs in your hand.